The story begins in a dark and devastating place dominated by shadows and abysses. Soon we see that a young man appears to be gravely wounded in his chest. With a slight smile on his face, the brave hero seems to fight for his life. But we soon realize that this smile belongs to an audacious young man. Even with his face marked by countless wounds, he decides to face whatever is hurting him. In the midst of that destruction, an unnameable creature emerges, a terrible figure with a female body, but possessing diabolical powers. This faceless creature stares at our brave hero with a unique and terrifying gaze. Her body is covered with numerous limbs, and each arm seems to wield a different weapon. Without hesitation, the evil creature decides to confront our protagonist, and her attack power seems to be grand and tremendous. However, our brave blue-eyed warrior is ready to face any challenge. Chaos is near, and it seems the entire universe depends on this fighter. Yet, before we can discover how this battle will end, letters begin to appear. It looks more like the ending of any random adventure book. And to our surprise, it really was an adventure book. Our protagonist is lying in bed and is just an ordinary boy who seems to have finished yet another novel on his phone. After taking a deep breath, Chang Ting, our teenager, realizes that the story he was reading has really come to an end. Impatient, he scrolls through his tablet to check that the story is truly over, and confirms that it is. More than that, furious that the adventure has ended, the teenager throws the tablet on the bed, very irritated. While taking his first morning pee, an alert pops up on his tablet, but he doesn't see it. It seems our adventure in this magical world is just beginning. Hours pass, and the next day the sky is blue, showing that a new moment has begun. Chang Ting appears quite well dressed with his stylish clothes as he approaches the entrance of his school. Our protagonist shows deep irritation because some commotion is taking place in front of his school, and he immediately thinks it's a protest. However, our blue-eyed teenager realizes he must be mistaken. To his surprise, as he approaches the crowd, he notices that an entire building has disappeared. Ting starts sweating cold as he cannot believe what his eyes are showing. There was supposed to be a huge building in front of him. Emptiness takes over the environment, and what seemed like a normal day in that teenager's life takes on alarming proportions. While Chang Ting is paralyzed trying to understand what happened, he realizes the crowd around him is starting to panic. However, the young man is a rational thinker and tries to stay logical. Perhaps a new demolition company is conducting some tests. Walking slowly, the teenager reaches his school and heads toward room number 16. As he opens the door, Chang is brutally surprised by an unrecognizable creature that jumps in front of him. However, to our surprise, is not some terrible creature, but just Ting's blonde friend. In desperation, his friend starts theorizing about the possible end of the world approaching. Nevertheless, even with the blondie's desperation, Chang Ting tries to stay calm and gets annoyed with the boy. Full of enthusiasm, Ting's crazy friend starts showing him that everyone is talking about this on social media. Starting to feel uncomfortable, Chang Ting scratches his head, telling his friend it must be a coincidence. With an evil look, the crazy friend asks if he has never heard about the end of the world in various books. It seems the end of the world is indeed near. In a quick flash of consciousness, a teenager tries to argue, but words fail him at that moment. Full of sarcasm, Ting's friend complains that even at the end of the world, he pulls out the tablet to read the novel. When he grabs the device, the young man reads a frightening message informing him that the book he was reading has been deleted. However, this was no ordinary book. It was a book that spoke about this possible end of the world. Both realize that the book also has a moment where the protagonists talk about the end of the world. It is at this moment that Chang Ting's world seems to collapse and fiction starts turning into reality. Leaving through the school corridors, he makes up some excuse to shake off his friend. His friend cries when he realizes he'll miss his buddy. Running through the city streets, our hero starts remembering that in the book he read, there was a portal that led to another dimension. Time is running out, and Ting needs to be fast if he wants to prevent a catastrophe. Fearlessly, the teenager runs among the people who seem to be living their lives normally. It was right there in front of his eyes, a portal with the number 1. With heavy breathing, an old man appears to say something to him. After arriving at the place indicated in the book, the boy tries to remember how this was supposed to happen in the story he read. Quickly, he remembers that there were a total of 999 portals connected to a terrible spatial abyss. And as described in the book, today at midnight, terrible beings from the abyss of darkness will invade the earth. Monstrous and horrifying creatures will come to life, indescribable and terrifyingly strong beings, and terror will take over the universe. Terrible monsters of different levels will invade the planet, and even those who are strong won't be able to stop them. In the book, with the arrival of the terrifying monsters, there was only one path to salvation. An order of defenders against evil would be able to join forces to save humanity. It was the only chance. The first beings to appear would be level 1 monsters. Terrible, destructive wolves that devour everything. Chang Ting tries to think if he would be strong enough to do something like the protagonist of his book. He remembered well that level 2 monsters would be unimaginable aquatic beings. Even without knowing if things would happen the same way as in the book, Ting seemed to feel strong enough for the fight. Our hero decides to gather what he has to buy some things he will need. It won't be easy at all to fight a monster, so he will need some tools. A girl passes by him and realizes she knows the boy from school.